Welcome to Create a Flow Live. I'm Elisha Jacobs, and tonight we are going to be going into how you can turn your iPad into your productivity machine. Now, I know a lot of you who has an iPad, or you might be thinking of getting an iPad. Some may feel that it is a distraction. Others may feel that they don't know how to use it effectively in life and business. So if you feel your iPad is more like a distraction than an actual focus tool, tonight's session is for you. And so I will be walking you through my exact iPad OS 26 setup. I'm currently beta testing iPad OS 26, but a lot of the principles and productivity tools and strategies that I use within my iPad, it can be applied to iPad OS 18 as well. So I'm going to be looking at the setup from widgets to focus modes and how I'm able to stay in flow without fighting my screen. And so there is so much potential that you can unlock with your iPad. And you need to ensure that it's working for you and not against you. So tonight we are going to get right into it. Welcome to my YouTube community as well as the Substack community. I appreciate you. Welcome. And if you have your iPad, or you might be thinking of getting an iPad, this is for you. If you already have an iPad and you really want to get set it up for creative focus, then let's get into it. And I'm literally going to walk you through my setup and how and the strategy behind why I set it up the way I did so it works for me. And I'm also going to give you tips along the line. And then if you have any questions throughout tonight's session, please feel free to leave it in the comments. And I'm definitely going to answer your questions if you have any thoughts or so forth, or let me know in the comments, how do you use your iPad, if you use it for work or is it just for entertainment. Okay, so I'm going to first log in to my iPad feed here. And so the first walkthrough is the home screen and making sure that when I'm setting up a home screen, it is functional, it is simple, and it's also laser focus on what it is I need to get done. A lot of my a lot of my home screens are designed to my focus modes. So I do have different types of focus modes. So for example, if I go into settings and I come down to um one moment. Yeah, and I come down to focus. I have a creator mode, I have personal, mindfulness, and so forth. So every mode has a different lock screen. All right. So, for example, by default, right now, mindfulness is on because of the time of day. But if I turn this off, this is usually what my home screen actually looks like. Again, for me and how my brain works, I do not like overly aesthetic designs on my iPad. I know if you're an iPad girly, or you are that person who see a lot of videos on TikTok and even social media at large, and you see persons highly customizing their iPads. That's what works for them. I am not that person. I'm like a minimal, functional, but yet setting it up for intention. So by default, this is what my typical layout looks like. I have my Bible app appearing there where it shows me the scripture of the day. I do have this app called Structured. This actually shows me my calendar for the entire day. So as the hour pass by, I'm able to tick off um my different tasks or different things that priorities that I need to get done. So I use structured. Before this, it was either Apple Calendar or Apple Reminders. And then I have my six most used apps on a regular everyday basis with regards to my iPad. So if it's Mail a Note, Notion, Good Notes, Notability, Zoom, or Canva. So this is just one view. Um, and so I prefer this to be very clean, very like choosing the apps that I need to use on a daily basis. I put them on the home screen. I do not have a whole ton of pages. If I scroll to the left, it just gives me the calendar here again. This is Apple Calendar. It gives me what are my device battery options. And it also gives me this tool, which is very important if you want to keep track of how much time you're spending on your device and what you're doing on your device. It usually tells you and it tracks that for you. So this is called the screen time app. So with the screen time, it will tell you how much you're spending on productivity, how much you're spending on creativity, how much you're spending on different aspects. If you're on social, it will tell you, and then it will break down the apps that you're, how much time you're spending in those apps. So this is a good way for you to measure how you're using your device and what you need to cut back on. So this is an important widget for me to have on the, like when I swipe to the right. Again, for most of my iPad layouts, I just have one page. I'm not that person's not going to put a ton of different apps on there because what I find once you have so many apps on a screen, it is a recipe for distractions because you might come on your iPad to do something specific and then you get distracted in going into different apps and then you lose focus. So I make sure that every home screen that I set up, it has the different apps that I need and it's tailored to the intention and the focus that I'm doing with on that on my iPad. Now when I swipe to the left, it's going to bring me to the app library, and if if you're in the Apple ecosystem, you know the app library is categorized based on whether creativity, social, or whatever the case may be. And so it's easy for me. I've gotten accustomed to coming into the app library and looking for a specific app. And I kind of already know my categories on what is in each category. And I've gone a step further to even remove some apps that I don't need or don't use on the iPad, right? So this is this my simple layout. Again, when I am setting up my home screens, I'm thinking about the strategy of being productive while I'm working on the iPad, but also choosing the apps and the widgets that is needed. So there is a lot of intention with regards to this. So for example, if I were to switch my focus mode, let's say to creator, notice my color changes. And so, yes, my calendar remains, but notice the color changes and the layout changes as well. So, in once I'm in creator mode, and whether I open an app on my MacBook or on my iPhone, because I have the different devices with the one Apple ID specific for business, I the environment or the home screen actually changes. So once I'm in creator mode on my iPad, I have Canva. I have access to Freeform, Playground. I even have access to my Notion board, and notice my docking station. It still remains the same. You can customize your docking stations. You can remove an app if you don't want it there, or you can leave it as it is. For me, I just leave these four items there because those are the four most frequently used things that I use a lot when it comes to the docking station. Right. So this is what my creator home screen actually looks like. The other thing is if I'm doing recording and it's dependent on the It's dependent on my iPad, but it's also heavily customized on my iPhone. So once the recording mode is on, and this is activated anytime I start eCam or I start my DJI app, or it's triggered by some app that allows me to actually start recording content, there is a different look and a different placement of the apps. So for this, I can start recording using this is for, yeah, Notability. So I can start recording through Notability. I have my DJI app. I have reminders, calendar shortcuts, freeform, and journal. So I kind of just put these placements in here, but this particular home screen and the focus mode of recording is more or less applicable to my phone, because a lot of the lights that I have in my office here, and in order for me to control like the backlights and all the things, it's heavily on my phone. So anytime the recording comes on the phone, all the apps that relate to the different lights that I need to manage, it comes up on that screen. So I've designed the iPad in the same way as well. All right. Um, if I go into mindfulness, because there's a certain time that I wind down every night. I think it starts from 8:30 or 8 p.m. Usually this mindfulness focus comes on, and notice the background changes as well. And so I have an actual automation here that I'm gonna cancel. But this is what the mindfulness, like once 8 p.m. comes around, Monday to Friday, it's going to open up my reads. It's going to open up the journal. How do you want to connect with people this week in journal? I can start recording my thoughts of how the day was. I can reflect. I've chose to, with winding down, I either play word search or some mind game, or I would just go into good notes or free form to jot down if I have a lot of ideas or thoughts that I want to get out of my head. I would put them into these different apps. So as you're seeing here with the different home screens, there is intention with regards to every focus and every home screen, right? The same thing goes for planning. I think planning remains the same. And my work mode, it's the most basic thing in that it just has the reminders and my Notion calendar, ChatGPT, Substack, MailerNote, and GoodNotes, and that's it. But because most of the times I would say 90% of the time I use my iPad, but the other remaining time I'm on my bigger computer, which is the Mac Mini. And so every device is tailored differently, and having this type of setup has helped me to boost my productivity and also allow the iPad to work for me as a tool to help me stay focused. One of the things that I have realized is that once I get on a device, especially if it has a social app, I pick up the phone to do one thing, and you can tell me if this happens to you as well. Once you pick up the phone or the iPad to do one thing, it is going to distract you either by you seeing a notification from your social profile or something. So, one of the rule that I have stuck with for the past 2.5 years with owning my iPad is that I did not want to have any social media apps on my iPad. I didn't want to have Facebook, Instagram, none of it, because that is an easy way for me to be distracted from what I want to get done on the iPad. And I want to use this tool as a productivity machine, and it helps me to stay focused on what it is that I need to get done. Now, if you are now starting out with customizing and turning your iPad into a productivity tool, it is going to be difficult, especially if you use it a lot for entertainment or games or however you use it. You're going to find for the first, it's going to be very difficult to transition, but you can take small steps And those small steps is one, being able to remove the distractions or by removing the apps that would easily distract you, especially if you have multiple devices within your app within the Apple ecosystem. If it's on your phone, it doesn't need to be on your iPad. And that's how I actually look at it. All right. If it's on my phone, it doesn't need to be on my iPad. If it's on my iPad, the likelihood of it being on my phone is dependent on what the main intention of that app. So, for example, Notion is on every device because whether I am out and about and I have my phone, I'm able to capture ideas with the phone and it goes into Notion. If I'm somewhere else outside of my workspace and I have my iPad, I'm able to access my Notion board. So there's some key essential apps that will be on all devices, but if it's on my certain apps that are on my phone, they are not on my iPad. All right. And so I'm going to leave this on for now because I'm still in recording. But what I want you to first focus in on is your focus modes. Now, focus modes are activated based on how you actually set it up. And so, as you've seen earlier with my focus modes, I have one for creator, one for mindfulness, personal, planning, and so forth. Now, for example, when it came to the creator focus mode, I was very specific on what I want that focus mode to be. Because I'm creating content or I might be editing content or whatever is that creative process or that flow in the moment, I do not want to be distracted with any notifications. Now, with iPadOS 26 and with even iPadOS 18, and with the use of Apple Intelligence, they do give you the option where you can have intelligent breakthrough and silencing. This is where the AI will actually prioritize your notifications. So you can have that turned off or you can have it turned on. There is a running joke among my circle of people where if you made it into the exception list of the do not disturb, you're special. All right. And so after a certain time, all my devices go into do not disturb. And I know there is usually a running joke with that, but you can, if you find I'm that person that is a light sleeper, so I don't want to hear any devices stinging during the night or, having that notification ping. And so I have a sleep mode and I think it's right there. Yeah. So I do have a sleep mode, but I also have exceptions and who if somebody calls me, like my emergency contacts, close friends, and family, and once you make the approval list, you're going to be a part of the exception. So you can choose who you want to receive notifications from. You can choose the people, you can choose the apps where you want to have notifications coming through. But one of the most important things that the iPad OS ecosystem does give you is the option to customize your lock screen as well as your home screen, and that is going to actually limit the distractions. And so you see, as I was switching between the different focus modes, notice every home screen was different. And so this is where I actually came in and I created the home screen, a dedicated home screen for the creative flow focus. And so the first one is the lock screen, what it will look like, and also the home screen. I also have triggers where once I actually turn on a focus mode, uh once a specific app is opened or I'm doing something in a specific location, it's gonna actually turn on the focus mode. If I'm on my iPad and I'm have CapCut open or I open Canva, for example, it will actually automatically turn on the Creator Flow focus. All right, and I can simply just add it now. It could be either time, location, or app. So if I choose Canva, it will actually turn on this particular focus mode. So you can actually do your focus filters as well. um where you can say you want specific notifications from your calendar to come through. And so there's so many different customizations with focus mode. I do plan to do a full in-depth tutorial on how you can set this up. There, if you're on my YouTube channel, there is a few videos there that I walk you through how you can actually set up your different focus modes. All right. And so when it comes to your lock screen and your home screen, I would say as a beginning, if you're now setting this up for the first time, start simple and then you can add on to it and you can adjust accordingly. For me, I've been at this for a while, so I pretty much have my iPad down to what I want it to actually do and how it actually behave. All right. So like my recording, I know exactly what that actually looks like. All right. Now, point to note, if you want to know how to create multiple home screens and then you can attach it to the different focus modes, it's pretty simple on the iPad. You would simply tap and hold, and where in the center you see these two dots appearing here, it's going to give you the option to do multiple home screens. So you can go into options and it's literally going to open a new page and you can simply drag your apps onto it. The other way, because I just have a singular one, if I wanted to, I can also drag it here and it will actually create a new page onto the home screen. So you can customize that second screen, and notice it's showing that I have two screens here. So if I were to go into, let me just done that. If I were to go into, let me see which one doesn't have. Okay. So if I were to go into here and change, I can simply come in and choose that one I just selected and I know that's my home screen. So that is how you would actually create the various home screens, and then you would actually select which one pertaining to your focus mode. The same thing goes for the lock screen. If I can get, okay. All right. So notice every lock screen that I have is actually tied to a focus mode. And so as you scroll, you see everything, it has its own proper, right? So I do have a personal one that I haven't used in a minute. But if you want, you can literally create a new screen and then it will tell you, you see that focus there, you simply tap and then you would choose which focus you want to come in, right? Right? So that is how you would set up your individual home screens and your lock screens for maximum focus, right? Okay. Any questions so far? Let me know in the chat. I have also I use a lot of automations too with my different focus modes. As you saw earlier with recording, if I have certain apps open up, it's going to actually trigger that particular focus mode. And also I did share a few weeks back when it comes to shortcuts. Eh, find the shortcuts. mm, okay, so with the shortcuts, I have different shortcuts for different devices. So in iPad, if I want to actually create an automation, so I have the mindfulness automation appearing. So basically what this is that when a certain time arrives, this focus mode would actually turn on, but it's also going to prompt me to create a journal entry. And this is possible through the iPad OS 26 because the journal app is now available on the iPad with iPad OS 26. If you're in iPad OS 18, it's not the journal app is not available, but you can do this for any one of your note taking app, whether you're using Apple Notes, Good Notes, or whatever. You can do this as well, right? So I do have automation set as well. And so those are my different focus modes and how I actually customize. Now, when it comes to the distractions, like I talked about earlier, let's do a quick detox. And I usually do this every month. I could be rigid and do it every month, but I can also be very I would say clinical and do it every single like 3 months or every 6 months or so forth. So let me know in the chat, what's the most distracting thing that is on your iPad right now. If you do not have an iPad, you can tell me what is the most distracting thing on your iPhone right now. Is it an app? Is it notifications? Is it your home screen? Is it your lock screen? Let me know in the chat. There's few things that I usually do when it comes to doing a digital detox with my iPad is that I again go through this entire library, and if I did not use an app for the last 30 to 60 days, it needs to go. If it doesn't have a subscription, I can simply delete it. Now, the reason why I do this, it has two sides to it. First, space and storage is a big thing with all devices. We either paying more money for more cloud storage, or our devices are limited when it comes to storage, especially if you're a content creator and you're recording content on your devices. I do advise you to do a digital detox at least every month, depending on your frequency of how you create content. But also, with your various devices, you can do a detox as well. So if you did not use an app for 30 to 60 days, it needs to go, right? And so I usually do that. And sometimes, if I have that free time, I would literally go do it weekly or every 2 or 3 weeks. And so because I test a lot of apps to share with my communities on, you know, this is another alternative to something you might be paying for, something that is reasonable or so forth. I try a lot of apps, so I have to constantly do that detox. All right. So, first thing is removing apps that I have not used in the last 30 to 60 days and be honest with it. The next thing is, if you notice, for most of my apps, and because I do not have social media on this, but I have turned off notifications. I do get the notifications coming in here, but more importantly, when it comes to the bubble that comes on every icon where there is a notification, I have turned that off because for me, that is a bit distracting. So if you go into settings, and you can do this on your iPhone as well, and you go into notifications, you can either turn on your summarize notifications, and you have your announce notifications. Now, what I have done, especially on the iPhone, certain apps I have literally turned off the notifications. So for example, let me choose an app that I get constant notifications from as an example. um I just got to remember to turn it back on. So I am Mighty Networks. So for example, I'm in a community and may have a ton of different notifications coming in from Mighty Networks. Where it actually has badges, I can simply turn it off and turn it on. Once you turn it off, that red dot that appears to the top, you will not see that again. All right. If you have it turned on, the red dot will appear. So this is one way of limiting notifications. Now, for some people, they be like, Elisha, let's be honest. How would you know if you have a notification? For me, it's a bit distracting. And because I hate to see um, and as bad as it is, I'm seeing that with messages like my phone and messages, I have five and one missed call or so. I'm seeing that notification. It bothers me every time I pick up a device that is there. And so certain apps that I know that is going to distract me from what I want to do on the iPad, I just simply turn off the badge. All right. The same thing goes, so you can do it from an app, overall app. So let's say maybe it's your messages. You may not want to see those badges appearing. You can either allow the notifications to come through or you can turn it off. Now, these are some features that, again, everyday users are not utilizing, but these little things will help you to improve your productivity and let your iPad work for you, right? All right, so the other thing is that as simple as it is, you want to ensure that you are not fighting against your devices. I know that we have access to so many screens, but as a starter, I would advise you to start simple. Start with the home screen, take away what you don't want, and start on a fresh canvas. Put your top apps that you're going to be using, and just you work with it just like that. For me, this has changed. If you've been coming on lives with me for the past couple of weeks, you have seen this home screen, and I have changed it so many different times. But when it comes to widgets, I don't want to have a ton of widgets on my home screen. That's just me, because I'm more of a minimal and functional person. But you design your home screen that suits you in one way, but it's going to help you to stay focused and organized on the back end of your device. All right. So I have said a lot, and I just wanted to share that. And this is something that you can focus on for this week in terms of getting your iPad to become your productivity machine. Now, I did have three questions that actually came in from um, some persons from my community. They weren't able to make the live tonight, so I'm going to literally answer those questions. But if you have any questions on what I discussed tonight, please put it in the comments. There's usually a 30-second delay on the different social platforms, so I'm going to give that time while I actually read these questions. So the first question was, one of my subscribers asked, what's the best focus timer app? And so that question, and like every other question, it depends on preferences. For me, I only use the app that is which is a structured app. Let me come back to my iPad so I can show you that. So with the structured app, and this is what I love, because subscriptions are getting so pricey and everything now, the prices are going up with subscriptions. Getting different solutions or apps that I'm actually willing to pay for, there's a few things I may want to see inside of it, and this is why I like structured. Again, there are a ton of different focus timer apps that are available out there for the iPad. Again, you can go into the app store and type in timer apps, and you can see what are some of the options. Of course, those you will at some point either have a free option, but it's going to allow you to pay. All right. So for example, in structured, if I have a specific task going, for example, it's telling me that I'm on my YouTube live right now. If I tap on this particular task, notice it gives me the option to have that focus now. So if I tap on focus now, this is what is going to come up on my device. All right. So I this is why I love structured, because it doesn't only give you the calendar, the reminders combined, but it also gives this feature of having a timer. So what I have done, especially if need to really focus in when I'm working, I put this on all the devices, and even have a trigger where once this is on, it's going to switch it to a specific focus mode. And so with that, I'm able to stay focused, and I'm also keeping track of my time. Again, there are a ton of different focus timer apps that are available. You can check them out in the App Store. All right. The next question I got is, can you automate your focus mode on a schedule? I did show that. Yes, you can do that. Um, I like to, let me show you guys this one. And as simple as it is, again, I do not, when I sign off of work, I don't want to be disturbed. And so with the sleep, is it sleep or mindfulness? I think it's okay. So for mindfulness, I did put a schedule to the focus mode. So basically, what I did, I said between 8 to 9, if I go in, so I want to have a schedule from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Monday to Friday. I want this focus mode to turn on. So you can actually have that for your sleep mode. You can do the same thing on my personal phone. I think I did that as well, where I can set, and I think you got to go through the the health app because I have the Apple Watch too. So basically I set up my sleep mode. So the wind down starts about 9:15, and my watch and the phone knows that to put the sleep mode on at 9:30 or 10 o'clock. So you can literally put your focus modes on schedule. So for example, for work, I can say, well, okay, I may want the work mode to come on between 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And that can be Monday to Thursday, and I tap on done. So every morning from Monday to Thursday at 9 a.m., that work focus mode is going to actually turn on. So that's a way you can actually do schedule. Now, please note, if you're using one Apple ID for your iPad, your phone, or if you have an iMac or Mac Mini or Mac Studio or whatever devices with using the same Apple ID, once that focus mode goes on or it's turned on, it's going to be applied to all devices within the ecosystem or within the Apple ID. So just make sure you take note of that. All right. The next thing, how do you use widgets without getting overwhelmed? And I know the person who asked this question. Now, when it comes to widgets, like I said earlier, I do not like too much of stuff um on my home screens. And so I'm very intentional with the widgets that I put on my iPad home screen. If it doesn't make sense to me, or if it's not something that I'm going to use every single day, I am not going to turn on or put a widget just for aesthetics or say, well, okay, it looks cute. All right. Again, I'm an IT person, and so if you know, IT people are a little more rigid in that way, and so it's carried over onto my devices. So only the things that I use every single day, and that's why I only have two widgets. My Bible widget, because I want to see the scripture every time I'm on my device, and I just need to see what is going on with my calendar during the course of the day. For me, I don't need anything else, right? So again, when it comes to widgets, and use your discretion with your widgets, and don't be overwhelmed depending on the screen size that you're using to, because I have an iPad Pro, so I have more of a real estate. I can add a ton of different widgets. If you have the smaller, like the iPad minis and so forth, your screen real estate might be a bit smaller, so be very intentional with that. All right, so I do have another person from YouTube. Hello. You have knowledge about PC? Because if you have, I need some help. Okay, so when it comes to PC, and I haven't been in the Microsoft world in 5 years and counting. I haven't been on a physical PC in over 5 years, but even with when I was in corporate at that time, and managing an IT department, and we were heavy in the Microsoft ecosystem. And even from, I think, what was the last Windows? Shooks, can't remember. Windows 8? I think we're at Windows 11 now. But anyway, whichever version of the Windows it was back then, I can't remember, 5 years ago. Um, there was a level of productivity even from a Microsoft and PC level. Of course, I'm definitely going, because I did have some people ask about Android and with Windows and PC and so forth. So I will definitely take this into consideration to help my PC and Android uh, persons out, because everybody needs to make their device work for them. But um, I've been out of the PC world for a minute, so I need to refamiliarize myself with it again. So I'm endeavoring to do so before the year is out. And so I can bring more knowledge to how you can actually work within the Microsoft ecosystem if you have an Android phone. What does that actually look like in terms of with Google and all the different features that are available to you. So thank you, Royal by Royal brand, for highlighting that to me. Right? If there are any more questions or comments, I we will wrap up tonight's uh, Creative Flow live. All right. If you take one thing away from tonight's episode, is that your iPad can literally be either your biggest distraction or it can be your best tool. So you need to be very intentional in how you actually set that up, and setting up in a way that is simple and easy for you. Start simple and you build on it. So here are three things I am challenging each of you that is on live tonight, or if you're viewing this on the replay, that I want you to try by the end of this week. First, reorganize your home screen based on purpose. If you want to create a focus for work, a focus for being creative, or a focus just to relax, create those focuses and create the home screens based on those focuses. Then I want you to build your focus modes, add your filters, assign your home screens and lock screens. And then I want you to remove your top three distractions from your your iPad or your device, and try it out for a week. Try it out for a week, see how you feel. Were you able to get more done? Were you struggling to stay focused on it? And like I said, it takes a while to get used to becoming or letting the device work for you, but it's well worth it in the long run. All right. So we are going to be going a little more deeper. God's Spare Life next week. I'm going to be building more on the distraction free workspace on the iPad. So please ensure that you hit subscribe and you turn on your bell notification so you don't miss when I go live or when I post a video on the YouTube channel. Again, if you have any questions relating to your iPad, how you can make it your productivity tool or co-pilot, please feel free to leave it the comments or your questions in the chat and in the comments. I answer and I go through each and every one of them. All right. So that is it for tonight's Creative Flow. Thank you so much to each of you who would have joined in tonight's live session. I appreciate you. Please do share this out if you know somebody who has an iPad and they're not using it correctly. Please share it out to them, and they will definitely thank you for getting them organized and for them to level up their productivity. All right, so have a blessed week, and remember, your tech should be working for you and not against you. Have a good night, everyone.